Hi, y'all. This is Mario Carrillo. I am the campaigns director at America's Voice. Really excited for our conversation today. We know that working on immigration is heavy and oftentimes victories are hard to come by. So we've been looking across the country for folks who have been fighting for victories in their communities, and it's certainly happening. And we have someone who's been in that fight in Minnesota. We have Regina Olono Vidales, the Hennepin County organizer at Unidos, Minnesota, and really excited to have you on to talk a little bit about y'all's victory for driver's licenses for all. I know that there are other campaigns that y'all are currently working on. You're still in session now, so we really appreciate your time. And Regina, just to get us started, would love to know a little bit about yourself, how you got into organizing, and a little bit about why the driver's license for all bill is so important to you.
That I started organizing when I was in college. I recently graduated this past May, so it's been about a year that I've been out of college. But during my time there, I started connecting with the Latinx community around the area and at my college. And I started realizing that I really liked that kind of work. I liked organizing the student body to try and push for campaigns that we needed as students. And I went on to become president of multiple student organizations. I was student body president. So I got really, really involved. But at the same time, towards the end of my junior year, I got involved with Unidos Minnesota. They had a fellowship program that was for young adults who wish to kind of learn those basic skills on how to do community organizing.
You started organizing, especially over the last couple of years, over this driver's license for all campaign. Can you talk a little bit about that campaign? So, driver's licenses for all, what does it mean? Like, what does it actually entail? And what made this year, 2023, the right time to push it past the finish line?
Essentially, it would just give everyone a driver's license or a Minnesota ID, regardless of their immigration status. So we used to have that in Minnesota, and it got revoked in 2003, back when they were pushing a lot of anti-immigrant policies that really hurt our community. I would say this is really important to me because coming from a mixed status family, having parents, it was really scary having to see my dad getting pulled over and getting tickets for not having a driver's license. We never knew when he was going to come home from work and when he wasn't. So it was kind of like just praying and hoping that he never got into any trouble. And I knew that was the case for a lot of other families as well. I think this year kind of put all the right pieces in motion because the Latina community started organizing around this since like 2006. So right after the law got repealed, it's been about like 20 something years of our community pushing and pushing and pushing for this campaign. And I think what really solidified that win was one, our coalition. It was multiracial. So we had voices from all other areas coming in and we all had different ideas. And I think that really amplified our win because we knew different tactics that we could take. A lot of people thought that this was just an issue that affected the Latino community, but the reality is that it affected a lot of other undocumented immigrant communities. So having like a multiracial coalition, I think really helped push us forward and having people from all sides come in and help us. I would also say we had the trifecta this year in Minnesota. We've had that before. It has been 10 years since we had that, but I think what really made a difference this year was that our community didn't stop fighting. They kept showing up to the Capitol. They kept having conversations. And I think with these new candidates, we really got into the spirit of co-governance and just being really honest and upfront and having these conversations and how we're tired of waiting 20 years. We don't want to wait another 20, like the moment is now. And I think the trifecta was really clear that they needed to be pro-immigrant, and that was the vibe this year.
In terms of organizing around the elections back before the bill actually was introduced, was there talk already among candidates that, hey, if you get elected, this is going to be something that we really push for down the line?
Yes, we definitely started having these conversations because we had our own GOTV program. So we were door knocking, we were canvassing, and with every candidate that we talked to, we made it clear like we want driver's licenses. This is the year that we're going to get it. And if you don't deliver on your promise, then we're not going to deliver the Latino vote for you. So we were very upfront and very clear. We also try to target certain areas where we knew other people weren't organizing on. So we really focused on White Bear Lake and getting that Republican out of office, which we did. So it was more of like being upfront and like letting them know that this is what we're pushing for. We also helped like the Attorney General and the governor on their races as part of our GOTV program. And we were very clear with the governor. When we endorsed him, he delivered a speech saying, I will give you guys driver's licenses. So we were very upfront, and I think that helped us.
So organizing works, absolutely. That's incredible, and I really appreciate you sharing a bit about why and how driver's licenses for all would impact yourself and your family. I'm sure that's true for a lot of folks in Minnesota. How does a bill like this, though, how is it a win beyond just the undocumented community? How will all Minnesotans benefit from it?
So I would say that this bill is going to help all of Minnesota. It's not only going to make sure that like undocumented people like stick around in the case of an accident, but it'll make the roads safer, because we didn't have access to a driver's license, we were not able to take a test or know that we had to read the driver's manual in order to take that test. So now I think everybody is going to know the rules of the road, and the roads are going to be much safer. And we've had like troopers and police officers say that they were in support of this because they know that it's much more harmful to everyone if we don't know the rules of the road. So I think that's also something that really helped. And I think it's also going to boost the economy, just helping people get to and from work, and making sure that everyone's able to, go to school, go get groceries. So I think it benefits everyone.
And I agree that wins like these, we have to make sure that we're clear as to why it's good for the entire state, not just for the folks that would benefit directly from it. And as you may or may not know, I'm in Texas, so we have a legislature here that's not being as friendly as those in Minnesota, and they are trying to push fairly anti-immigrant bills. And we've seen the same in Florida that's now been passed and signed by Governor DeSantis. And I think we can say that morale in some states is down. That organizing is still there, the passion is still there, but it's a lot harder to do so when elected officials aren't necessarily on your side. So, just as someone who's been organizing that understands the importance of it, what message, if any, can you share with other states, like folks like us in here in Texas, who might also want to pursue these pro-immigrant policies at the local or state level?
Yeah, I think I would just like to reiterate that, when we organize, we do win. And it's hard work, but to just not give up. Like driver's licenses in Minnesota took 20 years. And, I think it was 2019, the last time that we really heard the bill getting pushed, and we lost. And it's because, morale was just so low that people didn't want to come to the Capitol. People didn't want to push for it, which is very understandable. Don't get me wrong, but if if we all keep pushing ourselves and we all keep reminding each other that these wins can happen, I think that's really something to take away. Just because it might take a little bit of time to get there, but as long as you stay in the fight, eventually a win will come. So we just need people to keep going, to keep trying, to keep organizing. And I mean, we've had our fair share of losses, but this year we're having a bunch of wins, and we're really excited about it. And just goes to show that you shouldn't give up.
And if you can talk about briefly, I know this conversation's about driver's licenses for all, but certainly would love to hear more about the efforts that you have at expanding healthcare and other opportunities for the migrant community in Minnesota. What are some other issues that y'all are focusing on this cycle?
Yeah, I mean, I'm calling in from the Capitol today. We're pushing for healthcare for undocumented adults currently. It's been a little hard, I'm not gonna lie, but we are pushing for coverage for undocumented children and adults. So that's something that we are really focusing on. Things are looking good. I'll also say part of our work and our organization was founded on the belief in education. We've been pushing for ethnic studies for all. We've seen it happen in other states like California, I believe, but we don't have anything of that sort in Minnesota. So today they're actually voting on ethnic studies. We got pretty much almost all the language that we pushed for. And we've also done a couple other things. We're pushing for a meat packing safety bill. So a lot of our people that live in rural areas work in these meat packaging plants, and the conditions aren't great. So we're pushing for more rights for them at work, education, healthcare, and we're also pushing for funding. We have a green economy sector coming to Minnesota really soon, since we're going carbon free, I think in 2030. So we're pushing for funding so that Black and Brown folks can get that training so that they can work these green jobs. So we're doing a lot of things over here, and it's looking really good.
kudos to y'all for keeping up this fight, and certainly a motivation for folks like us in Texas not to keep our heads down and to keep organizing. I know our folks here are playing a lot of defense, but we know that it's possible to go on offense once the circumstances are right. But back to the driver's license for all bill, because one of the things that we really want to encourage is also for folks to know when it takes effect. So it's already been signed by Governor Walz, and now we're set to actually implement it, and would love for folks who are watching to have a sense of when and how they might actually go about once it starts opening up.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited. The date is October 1st, for everyone, and you can set your appointment for October 1st, 30 days in advance. So starting September, people can go online and request test, either your road test or your written test starting October 1st. I'm excited. I am also going to be getting my driver's license. So what we're telling people is like start studying the manual now, so that you can get your permits. And I think something really important about this bill is that it actually comes with a lot of protections. So immigration status will not be shared with any other, you know, agency. So there's that protection in that sense. And, I think it's a really progressive bill. So we're really excited. I think the DMV wanted to push it to January, but that was also part of our organizing that we said no, our people have waited long enough. And if you can be ready by October 1st, then we're going to go with October 1st.
That's incredible work, Regina. I want to thank you and all the folks in Unidos, Minnesota, as well as all the folks that have partnered with y'all. And I don't know if you have any last words before we close out today's call, but again, this is America's Voices effort at trying to amplify local victories such as this one, and give motivation to folks in other states to do the same. So any final words, we'll leave it with you.
Yeah, I think I would just like to say, I know, with like everything going on at the federal level and in other states, things can look a little scary and a little grim. And just remind everyone to keep looking forward, know that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and to not give up. We keep hearing like, well, then just move out of whatever state that you're in, but that's not the reality for a lot of our folks. So, stay where you are and talk to members of your community. I'm pretty young myself. I'm 22 years old. I never thought that this was what I was going to be doing, but if you just push yourself to take that jump into the public arena and try and do something for your community, it can end up in really huge wins. So just keep pushing forward and know that you have allies in other states that are looking at you, that are supporting you from afar. And if there's anything that anybody ever might need, Minnesota's here, Unidos is here to help.